Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club Podcast, where every month we deep dive into different aspects of cinema, directors, genres, actors, or franchises. It doesn't matter because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this month we are going through the filmography of one John Carpenter. That's right, we are returning to the filmography of John Carpenter. We just did The Fog, his first film post-Halloween, the film post a massive success, and now we are going to be doing
Christine.
That's right, Christine from 1983. The film, if The Fog was the follow-up to a great success, Christine is the follow-up to a great failure, because he does this right after the flop that is The Thing, which is so painful to say because The Thing is a goddamn masterpiece.
It is. And it took me a while because I was like, I remembered it growing up and I'm like, oh, the aliens. And I was just like, it's so gross, the effects. And then when we watched it for the podcast, I was like,
you did not like it on the podcast. Don't you dare.
No, I did. Remember, I came around to it. I'm like, okay. I don't remember it being, as gory as it was.
Oh, no.
But it's still not my, my all-time favorite.
The Thing is a goddamn masterpiece.
Like with you, where you really struggled when we met John Carpenter. You're like, what am I going to get signed? Something Halloween or something The Thing?
It hurt my soul. But I remember that episode, and I was like, The Thing is a masterpiece. It is, if not the greatest horror film of all time. It is in the top 5 greatest horror films of all time. It's in the top 10 greatest films ever made. And you're like, it's okay, 7 out of 10. I was like, what? What is? I remember.
Well, see, 7 out of 10 is better than like 2 out of 10.
I'm just saying.
Ooh, he's still salty over there.
Very. But it is, but that's the storyline, right? The Carpenter career arc.
Which is so ridiculous when you think that The Thing is a flop.
Yeah. Oh, The Thing was a massive flop. The Thing was not only a flop, this isn't critics, this is mainstream audience consensus, is The Thing was an affront to the art of cinema. They thought that was the worst film ever made. It was like a parallel to like a geek show where people would bite the heads off of chickens. People hated The Thing. John Carpenter literally went on record as saying The Thing almost ruined his career, which leads into this movie, Christine. It was a Stephen King novel that was just like, I don't even think it was released yet when the script got put together.
No, it was coming out at the same time as the movie was being filmed.
Exactly, right? So it was a thing because Stephen King had already made a name for himself as like the author du jour of like the time. He had already had Carrie be adapted by De Palma, and Carrie's a great movie. I think at this point he already had The Shining was already made into a movie because that was made in 1980.
Yeah, I was going to check the date on that. Like, I know it's around the same time.
Well, this is
same decade.
Yeah, this is 83. So
yeah, Shining came out in 80.
And there was already like the Salem's Lot adaptation. Like, Stephen King was already a bankable name, quality, whatever. And they were making the movie Christine, and Carpenter, he's admitted this, was like, look, I did it as a career move. I needed kind of a sure thing to show people that, like, I was still a bankable director. So he got attached to direct Christine, and it's very interesting because I think for many, many years, he felt Christine was a by-the-numbers horror flick and kind of a failure, or an artistic failure on his part. And for me, it's not it.
No, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with him. I mean,
It took like 30 years for him to kind of come around to say it's not awful.
Yeah, I mean, in our last episode, we had talked about, the last time we had seen it. You hadn't seen it since...
Oh, God. When? Middle school?
Middle school, okay.
To give preface to this, I watched Christine before I could even get the permit to drive a car.
Okay, so...
Many years ago.
So, no other times have you seen it prior to middle school or after middle school?
No. I mean, I've seen like references to it. I think Futurama did like a whole gag reference to Christine. There's been plenty of stuff where people have like referenced it, but I haven't seen the movie since then.
Okay, because in our last episode I had said I saw it in 2020, and then I think before then I had last seen it in high school. So it had been a while for both of us.
Yes. which is weird because it's not a bad movie.
No.
It's not a bad Stephen King adaptation, and it's not a bad Carpenter film.
I'm gonna have to borrow the book from you because you do have your book with you today.
Yes, I do have the book of Christine. This, I believe, is a contemporaneous copy. It's not like a first edition, but it's from like 1983, so it's a contemporary paperback. Which, as soon as I said paperback, everyone's like, oh, you have one of the shitty versions. But I have a copy from that time.
It's kind of like my Jaws book that I have.
Yeah.
My first printing hardcover book by Peter Benchley. And I was so excited because I got it for, such a great deal. I was like, oh my God, how was I able to score this? First edition, second printing, and I broke my heart. I was like, no, I could have had a gold mine here.
Yeah. It's the thing where like book collecting. We should have Randy on just to talk about book collecting because he's really into it. But
I don't know if we've ever talked about that. That's something that we like to do.
Book collections?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. One day we should do like a whole like episode just talking about like the best book adaptations.
I'd be down. We could do that as a video episode and bring in our books.
Yeah, that has to be the caveat. We can only do that if we've already read the book.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Bet?
All right. Yeah, bet. All right. Future Dean, cut this out. We're planning this later. I guess you don't need to cut it out.
Just leave it in.
You're working too hard. So, but yeah, so Carpenter gets attached to Christine, and it's weird because I feel like this is kind of a forgotten movie. It's a little forgotten that Carpenter did it.
Yeah.
And it's a little forgotten that I don't hear people bring it up when they talk about Stephen King films. Like I hear like Misery, Shawshank, which I guess Shawshank's a movie people forget it's adapted by King.
Yeah.
But I hear like It a lot, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't hear Christine, and it's kind of weird.
Because I'm trying to remember when we met John Carpenter, I think we at least saw two people that had like little models of Christine for him to sign. You
can still get the model car for Christine at like Michael's and any like hobby shop. So I've been tempted a few times.
I'd help you build it. So it's a thing where, the cars are being taken to like conventions. People can sit in them, take pictures with them. But you're right. It's not on that level of like Pennywise or The Shining.
Or Carrie. I just saw that recently too. I don't know what horror convention I was following, but someone had a really great Carrie cosplay where she had the bucket of blood like fashioned in a way where it looked like it was dropping on her. So everywhere she walked, it followed. And I was like, that's awesome. That's great, artistry on her, behalf, creating this cosplay. But it's like you don't see too much of Christine, one, because, you need the car. But, just to dress up like Arnie as well, it might get lost. Yeah, because once Arnie starts transforming, he becomes very visually similar to like James Dean from Rebel Without a Cause, which is intentional.
And speaking of James Dean and Rebel Without a Cause, it is James Dean's birthday today.
It
shit. Is. So happy birthday, Jimmy. We love you.
Happy birthday, Mr. Dean.
Not to confuse him with my Mr. Dean.
Not confused with me. We are very similar. If you ever see me in person, I look just like James Dean. If he put on like 40 pounds, grew a foot, and also looked nothing like himself. If James Dean let himself go, I would look like James Dean. But
and then I was gonna say, I'm like, you also do you're tearing me apart, Lisa, but I think I do that more than you do it.
Yes, you do it far more than I do. I do it as a bit. You do it as like a mantra.
Well, I mean, no, but we can't go to McDonald's. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. And he's like, all right, let's go to McDonald's.
Yes. But we are Christine. Okay, sorry, I'm getting lost track. But yeah, so Carpenter is going to do Christine, and it's very interesting because he changes kind of a fair bit about it.
Yeah.
And Stephen King was like, we know his thoughts on The Shining, right? Yes. Kubrick changed a lot about The Shining, and he fucking hated it. I have never heard him talk about Christine. I've never heard Stephen King shit on it. I've never heard him comment on it.
No, it's more famously with The Shining, where everybody knew.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a thing where maybe there was a clause in his contract.
Where it's, shut the fuck up, Steve.
Exactly. It's like, you want that payday, don't say anything. So that could be a thing, or he could have just genuinely liked it.
Yeah.
Since both were being, created at the same time, it could have been a thing where it's like, well, it hasn't been out for like a couple of years, so it gives, the people that are making the film their own time to come up with ideas. It's like, no, this is all brand new.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, but the reason I say that is because, there are significant changes. And the major one is in the book Christine, and this isn't, I'm not worried about spoiling a fucking, what is this, 40-year-old movie or 40-year-old book. Is in the book, it's not, the car isn't just evil. The car is possessed by the previous owner.
Yes.
And that possession corrupts Arnie by kind of transforming Arnie into the previous owner a little bit. It's like a possession movie, right?
Yeah.
It starts in the car Christine, and then eventually brings Arnie into that possession. But in the movie, it's just an evil car. And it's done in the best fucking... I love the opening of this movie so goddamn much. It explains everything you need to know about Christine beautifully. It's...
And it's like, Christine is misunderstood. We see her on the assembly line. Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Yes.
And,
I also love how it starts with Bad to the Bone.
Yes.
Which, by the way, that song is the most, like, don't put it in your movie. It's so cliche, but it works real well in here.
It works very well, and the music is... I need the soundtrack to this movie. I got to get it on vinyl, or we need to get it, on CD and have it in the car, because it's banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
But yeah, we open up at
it's like a Detroit assembly line.
The assembly line.
They're building, this Plymouth Fury. Christine is the only red car in the whole lineup. Everyone's like watching it go down the assembly line. They're putting it all together, inspecting her, right?
And then, you have the guy that's fumbling around under the hood, and then, the hood closes down, and does it take the hand off of him? Or
no, it breaks his hand.
It breaks his hand. Okay.
Which, okay, so I'm cribbing some notes here from Red Letter Media video where they talked about Christine a little bit, but the explanation for it is kind of beautiful. So, we know right away that the car is alive.
Yes.
That it's kind of evil, in that it's a woman. Because Christine's going around, and you see like the guy following behind Christine, looking at the rear end of it, inspecting it, and you see the shot of the mirror, and it's like, oh, it's like a woman who just caught a guy like checking her ass out.
Yeah.
And then you see the mechanic, he pops the hood over, and he's looking at it.
Exactly.
And then she smashes his hand, because that's a woman smacking away the hand of a guy who reached under her skirt.
And that's why I was saying Christine is misunderstood, because Christine is a woman. Right away, you've got some guy, just fondling under the hood, and it's like, no, don't be doing that.
We've just met.
This
is a third date business right here.
Well, this is the 50s, so, that's marriage. Well, the 50s were a wild time, too, just like the 80s and, hitchhiking. So we have that, because it was kind of hard to tell. I'm like, did he lose the hand? Did he not? Okay, breaks his hand.
Yeah.
And then you have the other guy hop in the car with a stogie, and then breaks it off. The ashes break off and lands on her pristine leather seats. And I'm like, oh, hell no.
This is after the car clicks on the radio, because Christine communicates with the radio, and it's like, will you be mine? It's like a 50s love jam, right? Will you be mine? Will you be my driver, whatever?
Yeah.
And he like disrespects her with the stogie.
It's like, one, you're ruining the beautiful new car smell, and then you're ruining the interior, and it's like, we don't accept that.
Women don't accept that shit.
We don't accept that.
Women in Plymouth Furies do not accept that shit. All right.
Am I your Plymouth Fury?
I mean, you are very angry, and you won't let me, ash on you. All right.
Yeah.
So,
No dropping ashes on me, please.
I know, but I love the opening of it, because there's no dialogue.
No, it's just people at work.
It's people at work, but you understand that Christine is sentient.
Yes.
That it is a woman, that it has like this haunting presence. And I like how in Carpenter's version, right, in this, film, they just say Christine's not possessed by whatever, it's just an evil fucking car. Right. And I think that works much better than the King adaptation, where, it's possessed and it's like a ghost is now inhabiting the car and all this stuff. Just saying it's an evil fucking car is just such a better economy of storytelling than just
the owner.
than the owner, because that
Yeah.
adds a whole other thing where you have to explain it. Oh, he died, but then he goes into this and the spirit and da da da.
And it's like, we've seen that in so many movies and shows, but this is truly unique where the car is sentient. It has its own emotions, its own feelings.
It's just fucking evil.
We won't get this until we get Transformers. But even then, Transformers are, robots in disguise. So it's not quite the same.
It's close.
It's close.
But it's still the thing where it is still, when Carpenter's like, oh, did this for the money, wasn't my heart into it. This is a Hitchcockian storytelling device.
This movie is so
perfect.
up my alley. I was just sitting there last night. I'm like, why am I not watching this at least once a week?
Like this is that's kind of why I was confused, because we had talked about scheduling out the month, because usually how it works is we agree on themes for the months. I'll generally do like the individual movies we talk about, but you decide on like what month and what order we're doing it, right? It's just divisions of like stuff.
Yeah, just we have our own tasks and we figure out, what works where.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, we're gonna do The Fog and we're gonna do Christine. Like, oh, those are like your two of your favorite movies, and you're like, I don't even remember last time I watched Christine. This was like weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you were like, and I was like, wait, you don't like Christine? And you're like, I like it enough. It was okay. And I'm
no, it's like I like
weird.
it. I like it, but it's not like The Fog where I've grown up with it, and any chance that I get,
that's part of your soul.
It's part of my soul. I will watch it. It's not one of those movies like Rebel Without a Cause where I purposely try not to watch it because it's my favorite. I don't want to,
You've watched it so much at this point. Every viewing after that is it's less pleasurable than the one before because you've seen it so often.
It's not that it's less pleasurable. It's just I want to savor it. So when I watch it again, it's like I'm watching it for the very first time. And with Christine, prior to today, I'd only seen it twice. So it was a thing where it's like I saw it 5 years ago, but I don't really remember too much apart from it just being a sweet car and then just Arnie's change with the car. So it was like I remember really liking it, but it's not one of those movies where like The Fog, I gotta watch it constantly, or Halloween where it's like if it's on, I'm watching it. Or you know what, I saw my Halloween t-shirt in the closet, I gotta watch Halloween. It's just a thing where it's like it hasn't been part of my everyday life, and watching it last night I was like, no, you need to be part of my everyday life.
We're going to get into kind of the modern viewing of Christine later, because it is weird where it sits in the Carpenter canon. But the movie itself, like how it opens is like so good. It's so clean and smooth and just great economy of storytelling. It's all visual. It's like perfect. And then once we start getting into the actual characters, it's another layer where everyone feels very like real and relatable. Like Arnie is like a loser character, but it's not a thing like in other 80s things where it's like, oh, he's a nerd, so all of his friends are nerds. No, his friend's a fucking like the star running back for the football team. And it's not a thing where it's like, well, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, oh, that doesn't work. But because of how they explain it, where it's like, no, like Arnie's like a nerdy loser, but he's kind of a smartass, and like Dennis is like, it's Dennis, right?
Yes.
Dennis is like, this like cool hip, running back with a car or whatever, but he like likes
with
Arnie,
a charger,
but he likes Arnie. Arnie's like a legitimate good guy, and it seems like a thing where they have been best friends since
like,
they were kids,
like elementary school.
Like,
and it's not a thing where Dennis is trying to hide like his friendship with Arnie. It's like, no, that's my best friend. Yeah, he's a nerd. Whatever.
This is also a thing. This feels like a far more realistic interpretation of that high school social hierarchy than most other 80s movies. Like in a lot of like 80s movies where it's just like, oh yeah, those are the nerds over there, and the camera pans over and it's a bunch of like fucking goblins hanging out in the corner. Oh, and they're the cheerleaders over there, and you pan over and it's a bunch of like fucking $3 whores hanging out in the corner. And it's like, no, like we're all high school is kind of like prison. We all got to get along, guys. You know, you're all kind of like, yeah, you're rubbing elbows with people, but like, yeah, fucking the nerdy high school, the nerdy kid is not going to get like relentlessly mauled by everyone. It's like the 3 or 4 assholes and sadists that are going to try and attack him in the mechanic shop. Those guys.
Yeah, that's what it's like. I was trying to remember high school because I was friends with a lot of different people. So it's like I wasn't like attached to just like one group. So it was just kind of like, not like the 80s movies where you're stuck in a class and it's like, I only hang out with the jocks. I only hang out with this. And it's like, no, I don't think I really had a label in high school apart from, the label I gave myself as the movie weirdo that no one else had a friend in common where we could talk about, obscure movies.
Welcome to the therapy session that is the film club.
It would take years later for me to finally find, people to talk about movies with. But
now you're marrying one of them.
Yes, I am. But that's why this movie feels so real, because it's like, yeah, there's no, the hierarchy. It's just, no, it's a bunch of people coexisting. And it's like, yeah, it's totally believable that a nerd and a jock could be best friends with each other and it's not an issue.
Well, again, it's one of those things where I'm talking very specifically about like the 80s interpretation of high school.
And that's where I'm running back to, because this is also during the 80s. We have the Breakfast Club where it's, all these different kids from different groups and they're stuck together. And it's wow, I really like you. You're really cool. It's a terrible thing after, this attention ends. We can never speak to each other ever again. I'm like, when did that ever happen in high school? Where it's like, wow, we were buddies on a project. I wish I could be friends with you, but you're a nerd and I'm a this. I'm in a choir. We can never speak. And it's like, no, who cares?
Yeah, and it's very funny how like that trope, because that's what it is. It's a trope for like films to make things easier, is just thrown out the fucking window. The only thing that's really held on to, because it's in context, it's their first day of high school. They're all, or first day of senior year, and they're all excited. And Dennis is like, hey, Arnie, we're gonna get you laid this year. And Arnie's like, but like, I'm a nerd. And he's like, well, what about this girl? She has a mustache. So?
And he's like, you got a problem with a little bit of hair?
What about this girl? No, she's a sophomore. Come on, dude, she's a whore. You'll be fine.
He's like, I also don't have enough money for her sperm bank. And I was just like, ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. Like,
or
Arnie's
I don't have a line of credit for her sperm bank. There you go. That's the quote.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Arnie is a loser character, but he's not like pathetic. He's just
he seems like a nice kid.
Seems like a nice kid, and he's kind of like just, his parents are like control freaks. The worst. And then once we get to like the bullies, right? Yeah. Which are
Buddy the lead bully.
Buddy the lead bully, which are perfect Stephen King era bullies where they're just like, oh, they're not like bullies that are gonna like, they're just like pushing you into lockers.
They're gonna take your lunch money.
They're gonna take your lunch money, or they're gonna like razz you or whatever. It's like, no, Buddy's like, oh, we're in the shop class. I'm gonna get out my switchblade. All right, Arnie, because you wear glasses and have a stupid haircut, I'm gonna stab you to death on school grounds, and I'm gonna get away with it because I'm Buddy. And I'm like, Stephen King, my guy, my brother in Christ. When was the last time you saw like just like knife fighting bullies in your high school? Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, in It. Okay.
That was the last time.
I am convinced Stephen King had like the worst bully in high school or middle school or something, because I'm going to be real with you. I grew up in California, in Southern California. I went to school with some not good people.
Yeah.
I never had somebody pull a knife on me and was like, hey, asshole, because you have a stupid haircut and wear glasses, I'm going to stab you to death. No.
I've had a knife pulled on me in high school.
Just cuz?
There were reasons, and I mean, I was scared. I was able to de-escalate it. Don't, let your friends get high and, just bring a knife with them to school, and then they, pull it on you, and then they're, I was kidding. I'm like, no, you were pretty convincing.
And see right there, that wasn't like, oh, I hate you because you're thing. It's like, I'm stoned and I think you're the Antichrist. Different kinds of things.
Yeah.
In this movie, the bullies are like, God, I hate your fucking you know what? I'll catch a murder one charge. It's fine. Again, it's just a thing where it's a trope in Stephen King books, and it's a trope in the movies or whatever, that I'm just like, Okay, cool. I might have had a very different high school experience than some people, but weird.
I was going to save this fact for the very end, but I feel like we have to talk about it since we're talking about the bullies.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you looked into it. Someone auditioned to be Buddy, apart from, this guy that... What did he look like?
He looks like Travolta if Travolta hit
There
the
you
gym
go.
more. Yeah.
Oh, Welcome Back, Kotter. Travolta.
Yes.
That's why I was watching it last night. I'm like, dude is basically Travolta. And then you have Travolta's wife in the movie, Kelly Preston, which I was like, that's Kelly Preston. Like, that is Kelly Preston. Completely.
Yeah.
But originally an actor that auditioned to be Buddy, and I wish they took him,
Was Sir Nicolas
yes.
Cage.
Rage Cage could have been Buddy the Bully, and that would have been awesome.
Yeah. I know we're harping on this, but it's just like...
It's ridiculous.
It's a little ridiculous, and it's a little, like, fascinating. But again, it gets right into the heart of the story we're trying to tell.
Yeah.
Arnie is a loser. He's a nerd. He's being picked on.
He's had a bad first day of his senior year.
Awful first day, and he's a guy whose parents are on his ass all the time. He has these bullies that are fucking sadists and assholes to him. The only person who's got his back is his buddy Dennis, and he is like trying his best, but Arnie has like no confidence.
Yeah.
He has no like confidence in himself until when they're driving home, he spots her right there on the lawn, just hanging out there. Oh, with the hood open, showing off all of her goods. Just waving them out for all to see. He sees her. He sees Christine. And Arnie just fucking falls for the car.
Yeah.
Which
you do.
As you do, which is like, they go over, and the owner is wearing like a fucking straight jacket back brace.
It's a back brace.
I know it's a back brace, but it's like, man, that is an old school back brace. And he comes out and they tell him the whole spiel or whatever, and it's like, Dennis is like, dude, this is a fucking rust bucket. Like, this isn't a good car, my guy. Which, be real, it's a fucking 57 Plymouth Fury that the guy's selling for $300. Yeah, sure. Here's the thing. It's a 57 Plymouth Fury
in 1978.
In 1978. Well, yeah, because in the context of the story, it's 78, right?
It's 78,
yeah.
So the car's about 20 years old.
20 years old, and it's a thing.
And it only has, what was it, 90,000 miles on it?
It was like 98,000 miles, but even Dennis is like, it might be 198,000 miles, because it didn't go up to the hundreds of thousands. But it's the thing where 57 Plymouth Fury, oh my God. And it turns over. See, here's okay, Dennis, my guy, my homie. But
considering we just recently purchased a car.
Yes.
And we went through, a lot trying to get our car. So that's why watching this movie was kind of like, wow, this is what we're going through. Should we name the car Christine?
So down. But here's the thing.
Okay, that's it. She's Christine.
Oh, this is going to cause some problems later down the road. But here's the thing.
We'll treat her right.
Yes. In the movie, in the context of this, right, Arnie spots Christine and he just falls for her. It's like the whole like star-crossed lovers, love at first sight thing, because that's what the movie is. It's kind of a love story. And
one thing about me, because we were talking about books and how we love books and this and that, I love cars.
Yes.
I don't know, the names of all the cars. I wish I was that kind of person where I could just like rattle down, this is this car and it has blah, 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 this, and that. So watching Arnie fall in love with Christine first glance, I'm like, oh my God, that's how I look when we're driving and I see a classic car roll down the street. And I'm just like, tongue hanging out my mouth. Oh my God, that's a beautiful car. Like, oh my God. So I was like, wow. Stephen King is just like, and John Carpenter is just like, nerd.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's Arnie is just head over heels for this car.
And he is doing every wrong thing you should do when talking about a car, because the guy's like, oh, do you have another car? And Dennis is like, he has a Mustang. He's like, no, sir, I have no other car. And he's like, well, yeah, how much do you want for it? 300. That's too much. I'll do it right now.
Anything that you want to charge me for. And he's like,
is not enough.
And he's like, it's not enough. And he's like, 300. He's like, well, I'll give it to you for 250. And he's like, no, the 300's okay. And Dennis is like, shut up, take the 250.
And here's the thing, the inflation on that, right?
Yes.
Because Christine is a 57 Plymouth Fury, 90,000 miles. The engine turns over.
Yes.
It's still a car that will move and drive. Now, if I told that to anyone now, if it's rust bucket or not, they're like, fucking $300. Yeah, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
With inflation, it's like $1,000. It's $1,000. That's how much that car would be.
I think the stat that I read, I think it was from like 2019. It was $900.
Yeah.
And now it's, we're 6 years later. So it's probably maybe $1,200, $1,300, but that's still amazing.
Look, I'm going to say this right now. If you come across a 57 Plymouth Fury that with an engine that turns over that you can drive, even if it's like a rusty looking body, and you can get it for $1,200, just
do it.
Just buy it. But I digress. In the story, right, Arnie sees Christine. He is adamant of buying the car, and then when he buys it, his parents are yelling at him, and key in immediately why he wants the car so bad.
He needs the freedom.
He wants the freedom. He wants to make his own choices, good or bad choices. He wants to just like have his own thing. He wants to make a choice that his parents don't make for him. He wants a car because, well, chicks dig cars, it's a confidence boost. And that's the thing that Arnie wants so bad, is to be confident, to be like, to be more like Dennis, who has his own car. He has the girls fawning over him. He's a good-looking kid. His parents aren't on his ass all the time. He wants to just be more than he is, and Christine gives him that. It's the thing where the movie gets into this, like, the themes of, like, this, like, I don't even know if this was a phrase back then, the toxic relationship of it, where Christine gives him the confidence, but she's taking way more than she's giving Arnie. Yeah. Right? Where it's like, oh, well, I'll make you, I'll let you help get all the girls and get you, like, I'll have you have the nice car and let you get away from your parents, but, like, you can never leave me.
It's like, you belong to me.
Yes, you belong to me. Yeah, you can see your friends, but, like, you're spending more time with me. And that's even gets into, like, the story as it progresses, where everyone's like, Arnie, you spend so much time in the fucking car. Like, we don't hang out anymore. And that's, like, the thing where it's like, bro, dude, you're spending so much time with your girlfriend, I hardly see you anymore. That's the thing, Christine is about this, like, how this relationship changes Arnie so much. Yeah. And as the movie progresses, you see him, like, transform from, like,
we get one of our favorite tropes. He loses the glasses.
Oh, God.
And Dennis is like, are you not wearing your glasses anymore? And he's like, nah, don't need them. And she's like, what? Dude, you were just blinder than a bat, in the shop room.
Christine gave his ass LASIK.
I was like, damn, she's good.
See, and that's
like, I'd have to listen to her, too.
Here's the thing. And the actor, Keith Gordon, I think is his name. Who plays Arnie?
Yes, Keith Gordon.
Keith Gordon, right. Now, he is, like, in the beginning, he has the greasy hair.
The Buddy Holly glasses.
The Buddy Holly glasses. He's dressing down a lot. And then as the movie kind of progresses, it's like...
Like, okay, Arnie, get it.
Well, you start realizing, like, oh, yes, this guy is a professional actor. He's professionally good looking. And... as the movie progresses and he, like, loses the glasses and he gets, like, a good haircut, you're like, oh, okay, no, it is literally the trope. Man, Jessica Alba, once you take the glasses off, I realize you look like Jessica Alba.
You're gorgeous.
Gorgeous. But I digress, because a lot of what happens going forward is just kind of that. It's Arnie distancing himself from his friends and his family, getting more invested in Christine, building the car up, making it pretty, and then people start paying attention to him. And as the car gets better, he gets worse. He becomes more of a jerk. He becomes more of an asshole. But I don't know about you, but for me, even when he is a dick to people, even when he's a jerk to his parents, even when he starts, like, being curt with people, I didn't feel... I still felt sorry for him. I still sympathized with Arnie because he started off so, like, low that, oh, now he has his confidence, and it's like, yeah, he's a dick, but he's like, he's not hurting anybody until, like, obviously
until he's hurting people.
Until when he's hurting people, and even when he starts hurting people, it's like, oh no, it's like Christine's causing him to do that. Like, he's so... what is it? My man got honey dicked. He went in, he couldn't get back out, and he's too deep. Yeah, he just kind of got, like, caught up in, like, the whirlwind romance of Christine, right? And it's like, interesting to see that transformation, because I think the transformation is really well done. It's very slow. It's very methodical.
It's very subtle. It's like you're just watching him, and it's like, okay, he's adding different colors and different styles. I love that Christine is turning him into a man from when she, came to be.
Yeah.
He's from the 50s. We're not in, almost the 80s. He is now living in the 50s.
Which is interesting, because you would think that, like, people would kind of key into that, where it's like, oh, Arnie's starting to dress like fucking
a greaser.
He's got the pomp going on. He's wearing the leather jacket.
He's wearing, the black T-shirt, or he's wearing the.
He starts looking like a cast member from Grease.
Yeah, and I mean, Kelly Preston,
right?
And you have Travolta, and I think I read that somewhere that there was. It's either in the book, or it's something they cut from the movie where they were watching the movie Grease. And I think Dennis was complaining, like, this is a stupid movie. And his date's like, oh, no, I love the movie. And it's just like, it goes with, the tropes that are going on in this movie.
Yeah, and, but yeah, like, we get to see him transform. And then I think it's the midpoint when the bullies get their comeback on him. This is after...
He's restored the car.
Arnie's restored Christine. She looks beautiful. It's a good looking fucking car.
He rolls her out to the football game.
We see that, Arnie's like with this new brain of confidence with the new car. He's looking good.
And he pulled the new girl.
He pulled the hot new girl, and everyone's like, fucking go, Arnie. All right.
Except for the bullies who are like, we're going to get him just because.
Just because he... Man wears glasses and has a stupid haircut, I will murder him and kill his whole family. Literally bullies in a Stephen King book. But it's the thing where watching it up till that middle point, you are like, fuck yeah, go Arnie. Yeah, awesome. And then you're waiting for the final foot to drop, right? Yeah. Where it's like, okay, when's the car going to turn fucking evil and start killing people? When are we going to get to that part? And it's when the bullies break in and they
destroy her.
Destroy Christine. They smash the windows. They break the doors off. They shit on the fucking dash.
On the dash. They cut up her seats. They destroy the radio, which is how she communicates.
Yes. And it's a thing where watching it, you're like...
I was heartbroken.
I know, right? And it's a thing where, you've gotten hints where Christine is like... jealous or like off-putting or like whatever, where when they're at the drive-in and they're like eating and then she
makes her choke.
She chokes Lee, and Arnie's like, oh my god, blah, blah, blah. And Lee's like, what the fuck, dude, like you didn't save me. And he's like, I couldn't get in the car, I'm sorry, and da. It's a thing where I don't think Arnie realizes at that point that Christine is evil. He just thinks that this is all kind of like a coincidence, and people are just still...
They're jealous.
They're jealous of him. They're mad at him because he has a sweet car and he's like looking good. He's finally has the confidence he never had before, and people won't let him have it. Which another reason why it's easy to sympathize with Arnie up until the point, right? They destroy Christine. Arnie is pissed. He's trying to put it back together. Lee is like, oh my god, Arnie, I'm so sorry. He's like, get the fuck away from me. Don't touch her. No. And his parents are like, we'll buy you a new car. And he's like, fuck you guys. I don't want a new car. I'm going to fix Christine up and blah, blah. And he is so wrapped up in like keeping Christine, and keeping the car around and wanting that same brand of confidence that Christine gave him, that he refuses to let it go, even when like looking at that car after it's beat up, it's over, my guy.
Yeah,
there's no like repairing that.
She's totaled,
and then she starts Wolverine healing, which that I think is the midpoint when we finally get the full reveal that
and we get the show me,
and then she starts like popping all back out and reviving all together. We find out Christine has a healing factor.
How
like
many
Wolverine.
mana points is that?
Oh, I mean, you put like two, a green and a colors into your oak. Is it oak skin? I think it's oak skin, and then you can regenerate it. Whatever. Black and a colorless on regenerating skeleton, you bring it back from the graveyard. So the thing is with that effect is it's a very good looking effect.
Yeah.
It looks so great. Like, I'm so glad it's done in this practical sense where it's like they're using a hydraulic thing to suck in the car and break it, and then they're filming it in reverse. So when they do it again, it looks like everything pops back to normal, and it's such a great effect. But it also gets into that otherworldly, like, oh, this car is fucking alive, and it's also like Frankenstein's monster. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's going to keep on keeping on. And that's when we get into the part where it's like, it's kind of hard to feel bad for Arnie when Christine starts myrtleizing everybody.
But then it leaves you with, is it Christine or is Arnie in the car too?
Exactly. And which is a thing I don't think is ever gets clearly said.
Until the end. Because for most of the movie, we see Christine going and running down the bullies that destroyed her, and the windows are blacked out. We can't tell who's in the car. Obviously, the person in the car is the stunt driver, but of course,
in context of the movie, is Arnie in the car? Is he driving, or is Christine driving?
And I love that they leave you in that suspense of, I mean, one, it's just great to have that effect. You know, it's like you're already starting to fear the car during the day whenever you see Arnie driving the car. And then when she goes on her killing sprees, the windows are blacked out.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I always got to bring it back to, you know, to Jaws.
Every movie to you is just
Jaws.
Is just Jaws.
Yep.
Every movie leads up to Jaws, and every movie after Jaws is a response to it.
Yes. Dead eyes. The blackest eyes.
Like a doll's eyes.
Like a doll's eyes. Yes. So that's why it's like, I feel like, you know, that's Christine. You know, the windows are just blacked out. You can't see anything. I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd be scared, you know, if that car was, you know, coming at me.
Barreling down at you.
Barreling down at me. Hell yeah, I'd be scared. But then it's just like, when it gets, what's his name, Moochie?
Yes. When he's in like the little loading dock thing and it just pushes through the too small corridor.
And it's like, dude, this car is working its way to get to you. Hop on the hood. Hop on the hood and then hop on the top of the car and then, you know, run down and get out of there. It's still going to take, you know, a few tries for it to try to back up and get you again.
These are 80s bullies. They're not that bright.
They're like, I'm just going to stand here until this car crushes me to death. Wow. I wonder what I did to cause this, but let me stand here for another 5 minutes while this car waits to kill me.
I mean, hey, life happens.
It'd be like that.
But yeah, it's the thing where the horror movie aspect starts happening in the second half. You know, kids are getting murdered, and this is when the Harry Dean Stanton detective comes in, which love seeing Harry Dean Stanton, great guy,
and his Fury Plymouth.
And his blue Plymouth Fury. Yeah, so it's like the dichotomy of the two, right?
The yin and the yang.
And this is, it gets to the thing where I stop sympathizing with Arnie and I start feeling bad for him because I'm like, God damn, just get rid of the car, my guy. Like, yeah, those bullies were fucking evil. They were literally going to murder you.
Yeah.
You were probably going to get like stabbed in the showers. So like, just let it go, man. It's over. It's done. And Arnie is so like, no, guys, I'm not leaving Christine. I love her. She's wonderful. So she, you know, kills a couple people and she's fine, you know. Come on. You just don't understand our love. That's the movie, right? And it's very well done and the effects are well done. And again, the whole thing about like, Carpenter's very, very, very good at filming this car to making it look like the most beautiful piece of machinery man's ever made and the most terrifying thing you can see on the road. And once we start getting into like the climax of the movie, when Dennis and Lee start kind of figuring out that there's something wrong with Arnie, that they need to get him away from the car, that they need to just like, look, we're going to fucking destroy this fucking car because that's the only way Arnie's going to be like gone from it, because it's doing something to him. It's something's evil going on. And they set up the whole trap with the bulldozer in the garage. And I love the climax of this movie.
They had to train Dennis, the actor, to use the bulldozer,
which is just great because I've driven a bulldozer before.
Yes,
They're not that hard, but it's such a good climax because at first we're like, oh, where's Christine? I don't know. Okay, Lee, go into the office over there and like hide. And then we find out, oh, Christine has been hiding this.
Under the
The
boxes.
Plymouth Fury was hiding under some boxes, and it bursts out.
It's awesome. I love Christine.
The Plymouth Fury bursts out of the shadows because they couldn't see a fucking land yacht under some boxes, and it runs her down. And then Dennis is trying to plays defense and manages to save Lee, and Christine is just smashing into this bulldozer, and then they're getting to the whole fight, and eventually Christine smashes into the office that Lee's hiding in.
Yeah.
And Arnie comes flying out of the fucking windshield, and Arnie's got some glass in his chest. He's dying. And we have the whole realization that Arnie's been behind the wheel. Oh my God.
They've been working together. It hasn't just been Christine's, out and about doing these on her own. It's nope.
Arnie's complicit in the murders. Not
in all of them. Because we do see when the car comes back and the owner of the shop, I forget what his name is.
Yeah.
When Christine is completely, burnt up after, setting the other
guy on fire.
The repair shop on fire. And he goes over and, he looks and the car's just empty. And then he gets in the car, and then that's when Christine kills him, crushes him to death in the car. Mm-hmm. So it's so we don't know if Arnie's there with every kill.
But he is definitely here with this one.
Yes.
And I love how this happens. Arnie dies, and the car, headlights go off, plays a little bit of music, being I will always love you.
Something along those lines, yes.
And it's just the car just has it powers all the way off, and it has just a quiet moment for Arnie's death. And it's I am so impressed with John Carpenter's ability to make this inanimate object
have feelings
and feel alive. Where the car actually feels like a real fleshed out 3-dimensional character, and it's a fucking car.
Yeah.
There's no eyes. It's got some headlamps, but that's it. It's so well crafted that in this little quiet moment, the car's gonna turn off. It's gonna mourn Arnie, and you get it, and you get the car is sad, and then when it pulls away and it's gonna go and drive down Dennis and Lee, and you see that the grill has now been smashed in, and it looks like snarling teeth, and it's
she's angry.
Oh, this bitch gonna cut somebody, and it's so well crafted. And then when Christine's trying to drive down Lee, but it's been all smashed in, so it's almost like it's limping at her, and it's I love that, because it's I don't know if they popped one of the tires or what, but it literally looks like the car is limping at him, it's a fucking monster that's just oh, I'm gonna get you with anything I can do,
it's a zombie.
Yeah, it's a zombie. Or it's in Terminator, when it's the one-armed T2 trying to chase after Sarah Connor, and then they crush it with the fucking bulldozer. And it's a big fucking juicy climax, and I love that shit.
I love when we get to the ending, the very ending, where they're at the junkyard. Christine is now a cube.
Yep.
And they're just sitting there, and Harry Dean Stanton's you guys are heroes. And then we start hearing Richie Valens, "We belong together," and it's
no,
she still
alive.
lives.
And then it's the fucking junkyard worker being "What's going on, guys?" Whatever, and just keeps walking
with his boombox.
Fun fact: that guy was the writer of the screenplay.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, he had his little cameo in it.
And then we pan back to what's left of Christine, and we see her still breathing.
Still trying to work the knobs out of the way and trying to rebuild. And it's perfect setup for a sequel that will never happen.
Doesn't need to happen.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it doesn't need to happen. One, because I don't think fucking Stephen King wrote a sequel to this.
But again, no ideas out there. We don't need a sequel to Christine. She's perfect on her own.
Yes. But that's the thing. And, I know we kind of just moved around the plot or whatever, but here's the thing. It's such a well-crafted film. It's a movie where it's Carpenter is able to imbue this inanimate object with feelings and emotion. It creates this relationship. We're able to visually see Arnie transform. The performances are all solid. And it's a thing where there's so many moments of that's a great shot, that's a great shot, that's a great shot. When the transformation happens and Arnie's standing there and you got the silhouette of the headlights and he's show me, and we push in and crane up and the car starts transforming. And I'm and Carpenter phoned this in.
What makes it wild, apart from that, is that this takes place from September to January.
Yes.
So 78, 79, which means, and I saw this somewhere and it blew my mind, that this was all happening when Halloween was happening.
Oh, yeah.
So in this same canon, you have Michael Myers and you have a killer car.
Wunderbar.
And I was just like, yes, this is perfect. My life makes sense now.
Everything in Boo's life is just a Carpenter movie waiting to happen.
It's like if you started playing the Interstellar music, then I'd be like, whoa.
But yeah, it is very just interesting. Like Carpenter said at the time for years after was like, I did this for the money. I just wanted something for my career. And it's like, I can't tell. This looks like so well done.
No, it's a masterpiece. I mean, we even get a direct reference to Rebel Without a Cause, not the costuming, the part with his dad when they're at the staircase and he grabs his dad and he shakes him and then he laughs and walks away. We don't get that in Rebel Without a Cause, but we have that,
physical confrontation.
That physical confrontation with father and son. And it's, in Rebel Without a Cause, it's Jim's dad that's not listening to him. And he's just so frustrated. He's like, I'm trying to tell you instead of you trying to fix things. And in this movie, it's
the opposite.
It's the opposite where his dad's like, you've really gone over the edge. I don't know who you are. Let me try to fix things. And Arnie's just like, I can kill you. And I mean, I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I don't remember this. But I'm like, does he kill his dad? And I was like, oh no, he lets him go.
Exactly.
But it was just like, like the tension, but also the artistry of being able to recreate a scene from a classic film. And it's just like, what do you mean you were phoning this in?
Yes. Like, I don't know really the thing about it, right? Because Carpenter just basically like after The Thing flopped, right? Because The Thing was like the passion project. That was, again, it was
the thing from another planet.
The thing from another world, yes.
Or another world, sorry.
Yeah, but the thing with that is it was Carpenter at the height of his artistic powers. It was Carpenter with just the big enough budget to do whatever he wanted. It was him that had just the right studio backing him to let him do whatever he wanted. And The Thing flopping really broke his heart. Yeah. And it's a thing where he had to do something else. And I think it was Paramount was like, look, or is either Paramount or Columbia, was like, look, Carpenter, you can do the Stephen King adaptation. It'll be a good career move and we'll get you for cheap. And he's like, sure, I'll do it. But I think even then at that time, he had too much artistic integrity to just completely like phone it in. I think he's a great composer of images. He's a great visual storyteller. Like you don't get this movie being as pretty and clean and tight without somebody who is really invested in telling a great story. And I think, Carpenter did just that. He just, even though he didn't want to do the movie, I don't think he was gonna really just say, fuck it, I'll do the journeyman job, get my like five angles, I'll get my master, my single and like 2 inserts, and we'll just move on. He's composing really good shit here. Yeah. And gets to my point of why do you think this is such a lesser known Carpenter movie? Because there's the scale of Carpenter films, right? You have up at the top, Halloween, The Thing, fucking Big Trouble in Little China, They Live. Okay, those are the A tiers. And this is very firmly in like the B, C tier where people just don't talk about it. I don't know if it's a thing where it's like, it's a King adaptation. Like, it's not an original idea. It's this thing happening.
It could be. It very well could be where it's just, because it's a book adaptation.
Because it's a studio job.
And it's like, well, no, we have, book adaptations like The Shining where it's just, that is so A tier.
Yeah. I mean, Kubrick's entire filmography is adaptation.
Yeah. So it's like, I can see that. I can see a thing where, maybe people aren't super into cars. So it's like, oh, well, that doesn't really resonate with me. A car is a car. And it's just like, no, John Carpenter has been able to breathe life into a car, make you care about the car, make you fear the car. And I think that maybe just people aren't, on board with that or they don't believe it. It's kind of like, okay, it's a scary car, whatever.
You think it's the concept people don't gravitate to?
It might be.
I mean, maybe because, Christine is the novel is the Stephen King book that people are like, yeah, Stephen King is master of terror. Yes, the haunted car book. It is a thing where it can be kind of a silly concept.
Yeah.
Right? But it's all about execution. We've had haunted house movies and stories before.
Yeah. Where the house is alive.
The house is alive, but it's also like execution matters. The Shining is a great book. It's a great movie. Execution matters. It's a haunted car. Goofy concept. Execution matters. The execution of this film is very, very good. And it's funny that people almost put this in the middling era or the middling parts of Carpenter's like filmography, right? And I'm like, no, this is one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It's not in the top, 2 or 3 because like the thing's real fucking good. But I could see this in somebody's top 5. Easy.
Definitely.
It's a really good movie and he does it so well. But I digress. Really like this movie.
Yes.
Really good
same.
movie. The movie has nothing really wrong with it. Maybe the idea that this is supposed to take place in 78 and it's obviously taking place in 1983. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was believable enough for me.
Who got behind it?
Yeah, I mean, 83 and the end of 78, you're still so close. That's why...
I don't know why they didn't just say it took place in 83. I don't think much would change.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it just worked better with, 78 and, what was it, Fury 57?
Yeah, 57 Plymouth Fury.
So it's like maybe they just wanted, 20 sounded like a good round number.
I guess.
I don't know. But I mean, I think it works. I mean, I just love everything about this. It's
a great movie.
It is. I mean, the bacon of it all.
Oh, yes, because that's an interesting thing. Kevin Bacon almost played, was it Dennis or Arnie? Because I think it was Dennis because they have the same kind of like look, like actor look.
Let me see. I thought it was Arnie, but it might be Dennis.
Yeah.
Where is my Christine?
Because they wanted Scott Baio to play Arnie.
Yes. And that's...
Which fucking Scott Baio. Okay.
Well, I mean, when I saw Arnie, I was like, he does look a lot like Scott Baio.
Like a young Baio?
Yeah, that's why I was like, I can see that happening. Where, like, he could have been it, but I think the actor that plays Arnie in this movie did a really good job.
Yeah.
It's in my notes somewhere. Where are you? And I'm so sorry. But yeah, they wanted Kevin Bacon to be in this movie, and he had to choose between this movie and Footloose. And he made the right decision. I mean, I think he would have done well if he had been in this movie or if he had been in Footloose, but I think, Footloose was the better foothold for him.
Yeah, well, it's a thing because he had already done Friday the 13th, and he probably didn't want to just do horror movies. Because that's the thing that happens with, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, which is weird because
she got typecast for a while.
Yeah, she got typecasted up until, like, Trading Places, in 83, 84. And then it was like, okay, she doesn't have to do horror anymore unless she wants to.
It says that he was offered the lead role, so he would have been Arnie.
Wild?
But I mean, I can see where they could have dressed him down, made him look nerdy, and then you do the reverse, and it's like, wow, he really is this hot guy.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, Kevin Bacon, we'll take the glasses off of you, and you'll look like Kevin Bacon. But yeah, honestly, I really like this movie. I'm so surprised I haven't gone back to rewatch this in a long time.
Same, and I will be rewatching this more frequently.
But I guess my final question before we wrap out here, right? Because we talked about, like, why doesn't this stand high in the Carpenter canon? And there's a lot of reasons. Goofy concept, execution, whatever. And I think the other reason is people probably think of this as a Stephen King film because Stephen King has his own branding, right? Even though the only movie he ever directed was Maximum Overdrive, and that movie is cocaine. I'm curious, where does this sit in your Stephen King adaptations? Because you did a big rewatch of them not too long.
I did a big rewatch of them.
And I've seen plenty of them.
I'm gonna have to redo it again because this is up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to watch the new Salem's Lot, the one that came out on Max recently.
Yes.
I need to watch that one. So I'm not gonna do my where does it sit, but this has certainly climbed the ladder for not only my Stephen King, but also for my John Carpenter movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a perfectly crafted film, and it has such a great execution of its ideas that it's like, no, there's nothing really wrong with the movie. There's nothing wrong with the film. But yeah, I mean, in the ranking of Stephen King adaptations, you get some tough company because you have like Shawshank, Misery, Green Mile, The Mist.
Don't even get me started on The Mist.
There's a lot there. But maybe that's why people are like, well, there's like 3 or 4 other Carpenter movies I'm going to watch before Christine. Yeah. There's 3 or 4 other King adaptations I'm going to watch before Christine. But Christine on its own is a really good movie. Mm-hmm. But that is the end of Christine. And what follows John Carpenter after this is Starman. One more for the studios. But after that, and maybe a few other ones, is the movie we'll be talking about next week, which is going to be
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness. That's right. The second film in his Apocalypse trilogy. Mm-hmm. This is the movie that Carpenter is doing that's going to reunite him with Donald Pleasance. It's going to be a movie that I have never seen before. I just know a few tidbits about it, but I have no idea the plot. I have no idea the actors. I have no idea anything about it other than Donald Pleasance is in it and John Carpenter really likes the movie.
I too have never seen this, so let's see what happens next week when we watch this.
I am excited, but if it's anything like the rest of Carpenter's 80s run, because that's kind of what we're doing. I guess if you laid out all the movies we've watched that are Carpenter up to this point, this movie will actually complete our 1980s. Mm-hmm. So we would have watched every Carpenter film from Assault on Precinct 13 all the way up to They Live, which is, like 10 movies in Carpenter's catalog, maybe a little bit more. Because we've done Halloween and Big Trouble in Little China just like in outside episodes, right? Yeah. Maybe we redo those. I don't know. But very excited to talk about Prince of Darkness, complete the peak Carpenter era, and then we will figure out about the 90s era. Yeah. But once we complete the whole filmography, we'll do a ranking. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to listen to those episodes, where can they go?
If you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and our YouTube channel.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube because the film club was taken. You can go there and watch and listen to all of the lovely video versions of this podcast, the slideshow version of this podcast, and not the actual movies. Letting people know again, we do not post the full movies on there. We are a podcast. It's just us talking about the movies. Sorry if people are confused and not reading the thumbnails, the descriptions, or the titles. But if you wanted to follow our Instagram, where can they go?
You could go to the Film Club Podcast, where we post upcoming episodes, guest episodes, adventures we go on, and some sweet reels and memes that we post.
And with that,
we'll see you next week at the Film Club.
Have a good week, everybody.